All right, guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So, for today, I'm going to be going over an article here that talks about how divorce filings in this country have gone absolutely through the roof ever since people have been cooped up in their houses for more than a month because of coronavirus. And I first started seeing an article about this, articles actually, about a month to 6 weeks ago. And this started happening in China because obviously this all began in China. And obviously they're a couple months ahead of us in terms of how things have come along. That divorce filings were going through the roof over there. And then it started spreading into Europe. That divorce filings are going through the roof over there. And now, to no surprise, divorce filings are now going through the roof here in the United States. Because, guys, I can't imagine what it'd be like to be stuck in the house with your spouse, and this could be either for the perspective of a man or for a woman who can't stand her husband and is only in it for the kids, to be stuck with them, even if it's a big house, for an extended period of time. I mean, I can honestly tell you that I would probably rather spend time in prison during the Inquisition than have to go through that hell. I mean, I can't begin to imagine what that is like, you know? And I got a lot of friends I've been talking to over the last 5-6 weeks. I've been stuck in the house, and some of them are married, and so far I haven't heard anything from them, but they got pretty stable relationships, And I think honestly, the guys I hang out with, they keep that shit to themselves. But I can't begin to imagine what that would be like. And I'm sure a lot of you guys that follow me either aren't married or were at one time. And so you can understand, appreciate the kind of hell you would be going through. You'd be losing your mind. So I'm going to go through this article here, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. It primarily deals with New York. And the title of the article is Coronavirus is Making Couples Sick of Each Other. Lawyers See Divorces Surge. It says here, cooped up New Yorkers are flooding lawyer phone lines with divorce inquiries, with an avalanche of filings expected once the courts reopen. It says here, people are realizing that they can't stand each other, said Manhattan lawyer Suzanne Kimberly Bracker, who, like many in her field, has already seen a coronavirus divorce uptick. I got a bunch of friends that are lawyers, two really good friends of mine, and they don't deal with divorce law, and they also don't deal with bankruptcy law. And I can only imagine what it'd be like if they were dealt with at least bankruptcies or divorce. They'd be up to their eyeballs in work. I'm actually going to text them after I get done this and ask them, do they have any experience in divorce law, because they get a lot of business. And the divorce lawyer here, is quoted as saying, in the middle of the night, I got a call from a client who now realizes she has nothing in common with her husband but the children, and how he knows nothing about the children, Bracker said of a marketing executive she reps. And she'll be damned if she spends the rest of her life with him. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the many reasons why I'm anti-marriage, and definitely I encourage, especially the younger guys that follow me, really think about it. If you really think you want to pop the question to that lady in your life, really look around. Don't just ask people that are married, because a lot of them, they may act like they're fine, but they're really not. Pay attention to their actions, see how they, what they're like, and, or see what they're like after they've been married for a while, not before, just when it got started during the honeymoon period. And that'll tell you everything. And don't just ask them what they think, because misery loves company, and even your friends would like to have company in their misery if they're married. Believe me, I've seen it done. And so trust me, guys, I don't care how cool your lady is, how hot she is, how good she treats you. I don't care if she's super feminine and beautiful and cooks and cleans and does all these magnificent things. The second you put a ring on her finger and you both say I do, the ball game's going to change, especially if you have children. So if you want to keep things really great as they are, if in fact they are great, I would recommend do nothing. Just keep enjoying your lives and each other, and she'll press you to get married. And if she leaves, she leaves. Find somebody else and enjoy that period of time. And then when the same thing happens, get rid of her, move on to another one. Because the whole idea that, they try to sell this in the movies, the Hallmark movies and all that shit, that everything's going to be wonderful, and it's not. At best, right now, I think the last time I checked, 60% of divorces end up in marriages end up in divorce. I'm sure it's higher, and that number is definitely going to go after all this is over with. But most people that are married now, especially after a few years, and even especially if they have kids, They're somewhere between simply living with each other as roommates or as friends to outright hating each other's guts. And most people are right in the middle. So you don't want to be in that, and I can honestly count on my hand the amount of couples I've seen in my life that have been married for a while that honestly I got the vibe that they truly were happy with each other. They had fun together, were still really cared about each other, active sex life, all that. I can count on my hand that many times. So it's very rare, guys. So for you young guys there, I would seriously think about it and really, really do some soul searching before you consider taking that leap. Trust me, I'm passing on this wisdom, and I'm sure plenty of guys in this channel could pass on the wisdom too. And by the way, guys, if you're watching this and you've been married, please share your experiences. Let the young guys know. All right, I've got a little off track here. So the article continues on to say, already bulky spouses are cracking under the strain of quarantine. Lawyers say, including one Manhattan hedge fund manager who suddenly finds himself in prison in his Hamptons mansion with his wife, the kids, and the failing marriage. Well, if I was in a Hamptons mansion, I would not be feeling nearly as bad if I was in a 1 or 2 bedroom condo that was 1,000 square feet, and I'd be losing my mind then. I think it's a little bit better in the Hamptons. It says he called me up again and said, "Are we able to start the process yet?" Matrimonial lawyer Paul Talbert said of the morose money man. He tells me, "The wife doesn't understand now that I'm home 24/7. Why can't I carve out more time for the family?" Talbert said. Because he's losing his mind. The guy's quote is saying, "I've had to tell him we can't file a divorce right now." Another call came in from a fashion company owner who's been unhappy with her marriage for a long time, but who has been hesitant to pull the trigger. Now that her family is trapped together in their New England second home, she's itching to get a divorce. Money problems are also straining marriages. One of the main stresses that cause a divorce, more than infidelity, is monetary stresses. Along with people being confined to one place, people have lost 30% of their net worth, or people have lost their jobs, said Mandel. So that is putting people in a pressure cooker. The crisis is throwing couples' existing differences of opinion into high relief. Mandel got a call Friday from a wife who has suddenly discovered that her husband, from whom she is separated, is basically a coronavirus truther. Trouble is, they have kids in common. This just gets better and better. The father does not believe this COVID-19 situation is as serious as the media is making out to be, Mandel said. Mandel's a lawyer. So when the child is with him, he's not using any of the precautions. But there are no court orders right now, so it's the Wild West. I bet that's crazy when you have a separated couple and the one parent is taking it very seriously and the other one doesn't. That happens a lot with divorced couples or couples that are separated. One parent raises the child one way and the other parent raises them a different way. It's a mess. And I've seen it in my own family with cousins of mine. It goes on. Meanwhile, the looming shadow of mortality, the threat of sudden sickness and death that's filling the news for the past month, is also prompting spouses to reevaluate how they want to spend the rest of their lives. Yeah, a situation like this would really make you do some soul searching. I mean, I'm waiting for some of my friends to talk about this. When this is over with and we start hanging out again at martial arts, and where I take martial arts, some of my best friends are there, it's bound to come up with somebody. I'm just waiting for it. It says, for one middle-aged Manhattan wife, the coronavirus crisis was the perfect time to do something about her hollow marriage, said celebrity divorce lawyer William Beslow. She telephoned me today and said she has experienced an empty feeling in her soul for some time, says Beslow, whose clients have included Demi Moore, Duchess of York, and supermodel Adriana Lima. She realized now that she didn't want to ever look back on her life and say to herself, "You were never fulfilled." People look at life very differently now. I mean, people are dying, he said. And I think most individuals, particularly in New York, where there are so many cases, it's forcing people to look within themselves and say, why am I staying in this relationship that I believe is not working? Yeah, guys, for any of you guys watching me right now that are married, and I know there definitely are because I've read a lot of comments, if you're not happy in your marriage and you have the financial means to do so, definitely think about it, because life is short, and why spend the rest of your life in an unhappy, miserable, sexless marriage? It's not worth it. And if you say the usual thing about having kids and you don't want to screw things up for them, I respect that. But if your kids grow up seeing you and the wife, fighting or simply just not being loving towards each other, the kids are going to think that's just how things are. And they'll be in a situation just like that in 20 or 30 years. And you don't want that for your kids. So really think about that. If you can get out and move on and be happy alone, or maybe just dating different women, have something better than what you have now, then that gives them something to observe and emulate later in life. But life is short. You do not need to be stuck in a miserable marriage. I get it if obviously money's tight or things like that, you can't afford to do so. But at least when this shit's over with, start taking action so that maybe in a year you have enough money that you can get the hell out. Life is short. It goes on to say there's an additional financial incentive to people to filing as quickly as the coronavirus cloud lifts, as the courts reopen, notes Beslow. And listen to this part. On the day a divorce is filed, the value of some of a spouse's most valuable assets, including their businesses and any self-managed stock portfolios, is basically set in stone. So it will make far better sense financially for many spouses to file for divorce before those stocks and businesses start to rebound post-coronavirus. Beslow said that is clearly on some people's minds. So what he's saying is that right now, if obviously someone's stock portfolio has come down substantially, which a lot of people have because they didn't see what was coming, they didn't sell. For me, I've been following this shit since January, so I sold out all my stocks in my retirement account and so forth at the end of January, and I'm really glad I did. And that way I didn't lose anything. And depending on other loss of asset values, if you're in a situation like that, best to get out now, because that will value things at the in terms of the court, they'll value things as things are right now at a lower price. But once things start to rebound, which in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be as fast as people think, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because that honestly would benefit me. Then you're then paying more. So something to keep in mind. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time.